Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and open up the garage. We got the car inside, and we'll go ahead and I'll do a quick little how the exhaust sounds right now before we put the Dezod Green Header on. And as of right now, we have the Axleback TRD exhaust on it. We have everything else is stock all the way through except the engine cold air intake, which gives you a little bit more air, so it does change the exhaust a little bit. Mid pipe is stock, the S pipe is stock, but we're also going to be getting those parts soon, and we'll have the full exhaust built. But we're going to go ahead and get the header knocked out, and we'll see how much the sound changes. Alright, so the car is in the garage a little bit, so that'll probably make the exhaust sound a little bit louder because it'll echo. But we've already got it up on the jack stands and stuff to get the header off. So we'll go ahead and we'll shoot it from here, and then we'll keep it in the exact same spot when we put the new header on, so that way you can kind of tell and it'll be the same comparison. So we'll go ahead and we'll put the camera right here, and we'll see what it's like. Alright guys, so that kind of shows you what it sounds like the way it is. Again, it just has the TRD Axleback and the engine short ram intake. I don't have the full cold air on there because, like you guys know, I have the carbon fiber hood that has that port cut out to where it feeds the cool air right into it. I really didn't get too crazy with it because the car actually hadn't been started in like 2 days probably, just because it's been sitting here with the bumper and stuff off of it where we're doing the headlight build. That's probably why it actually had a little bit of smoke right there when I revved it up real big. But anyway, so now you guys know what it sounded like before, so let's go ahead and we'll get into the header install. Alright guys, so the first thing you're going to want to go ahead and do, the valve cover is off because of the other project we got going on. But anyway, you might want to take that off anyway because it's that plastic kind of out wider right here, and it'll just give you a little bit more room to work. My bumper's off so I can get a little bit closer too. But the first thing you want to go ahead and do is we have our little heat shield right here. So that's really simple. It's 4 bolts. So you got one here, one right there, and one right there. And I believe those are 10 millimeters. If not, they are 12 millimeters, but I believe they're 10. But anyway, so you'll go ahead and you'll take those off. And then we'll actually have the 5 that is connected to the header up here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4 right there in the center, and then a 5 on this outside. So we'll probably go ahead and we'll take this shield off too, because it's kind of blocking that one. And then underneath you'll have the 2 bolts on either side going into the S pipe. So, and they say that the one on the left side is kind of harder to get to. I can't really tell from up here, but once I get underneath the car we'll be able to tell a little bit more. But anyway, we're going with this cool off where I just showed you guys the rev right there and what it sounded like. So it's a little bit hot right now, so I'm gonna let it cool off for a minute, and then I'll be back and we'll start taking off the top bolts. Alright guys, so we went ahead and we sprayed some of this penetrating fluid on it, or spray on it, and put it on all 5 up here, and then the 2 at the bottom. We've actually already went ahead and loosened both of the ones on the top. It makes it a lot easier, so make sure you have some of this penetrating spray before you start this project. So we're going to keep on loosening up each of the bolts, and hopefully we'll be pulling it out right here soon. Alright guys, so one thing I was going to say, if you hear any noise in the background, it's the fan that we have going over there. But here's a little update. We went ahead and we got the bottom ones off. So here's what they look like. They have a spring on them. And then we've went ahead and we've started loosening up the bolts right here. And they are 12 millimeters. And this one right here is kind of a pain in the butt. everybody in the forums and stuff have said that this one right here is a pain in the butt. But if you can get an offset wrench that's a 12mm, they sell them in sets at pretty much every automotive store. They're like 19 bucks for the set, and then you can get right in there. So that'll make it a lot easier, because you can't get a socket in here because the alternator sits right here and it won't let it get in. So this offset wrench will fix the problem. The other thing, guys, that they say to do is, instead of pulling your O2 sensor out right here, we're going to get it up on the table where we can see it, and it'll be easier. So you can just follow the line up right here, and you can just unclip the connector right here. So that's how I'll undo it. We'll undo it right here, feed it through this strap, and then pull it out with the header. Alright guys, so another thing I was going to tell you is the clamp that goes across your coolant hose or your radiator hose right here. It'll actually come all the way off without breaking it. You just got to take some pliers, push in these two pegs, and then pull out, and then that'll release it to where you can pull that wire completely out. Also, so after you get these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts out, and then the 2 underneath for the exhaust, there's actually another bracket, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's right down here, and it actually mounts into the transmission right here, and it's another mount for the header. Once we get it out right here in a second, I'll be able to show you guys what it looks like. Alright guys, so this is the other bracket that you're going to take off. So that bolt and that bolt will be going into the transmission right here, and then right there. Alright guys, so now we're going to go ahead, and you see we got our old gasket right here. We went ahead and we bought a new one. So there's what that looks like. We'll go ahead and clean that off a little bit, put our new gasket on, and then put the new header right on. Alright guys, so we went ahead and took the O2 sensor out. You'll need a 7/8 wrench to do that. And we've got it right here. And one thing you want to make sure you do is put some anti-seize on it before you put it back in the new header, so that way if you ever have to take it back out or replace it, if it goes bad, it'll be easier to take out. So we're going to go ahead and get that on here off camera. Alright guys, so we got the O2 sensor in, and just make sure that you get it pretty snug. Just don't try to put it on there too tight and accidentally break it or anything. So we're going to go ahead, put the new header on. So there we go. Okay guys, now we've got it slid on. So right here, you just want to make sure that your gasket is good and centered. We went ahead and we got a new one. You don't have to, but you can go to your local Toyota dealership and get a new one. I just got it so it all be shiny and new together. So now we're just going to go ahead and use the same bolts or nuts that you took off, put them right back on, and then we'll go down at the bottom and do the same thing. And then on this one, you're actually not going to use that bracket that goes around and hooks into the transmission, because this don't have a place to mount it to. So that's one thing less that you'll have to do on this one. Alright, so now that you kind of have them just hand tightened on there, you're actually going to work from the center one. So you're going to go here, then you're going to go up here, and then up here, and then you're going to go down and down. So it really don't matter, just as long as you start right here in the middle and then work to these outer ones and then go out, so the pressure will move out so you don't have any binds or anything in your gasket, and then it'll make everything airtight. The other thing I was going to let you guys know is you're going to have to reuse your gasket at the bottom. Okay guys, so with the Dezod, the OEM one, actually it'll work, but you have to modify it a little bit. I think you have to make the hole a little bit wider on it for it to work, or you can just go ahead, and I think it's like 10 bucks on their website, and they'll send you one out. So that's what I would do if I was you guys, so you don't have to go through all the trouble of, you know, getting one, you know, like either messing this one up and cutting it too far or whatever. You'll just have it here already made. So this will actually go on the bottom just like how it goes on this one. And then over here you'll have the, if you get this gasket, you'll have the new bolts, or I think it just comes with the header, but that was in the same bag as this gasket in my box. But you will have these new new screws and bolts with the washers, and then you'll just reuse the springs on the OEM bolt. But anyway guys, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start tightening these up. We'll tighten them up with a wrench, and then we'll go back and do the torque specs. I know that mine, we checked them before we took them off, and they were like in the 30 range, but I actually watched another guy's video, and he torqued his to 25 or 26, I think. So we're going to go like in between there, like 28 or so, and just see how it feels and see if we feel any exhaust leaks. So we're going to go ahead and start tightening the top down now, and then I'll go ahead and we'll show the bottom when we get done up here. Alright guys, so this is actually the next morning. I quit filming last night because we was trying to get this header done as fast as possible. So this is what color it'll change to after you have ran it through its cycle. With the green headers, you have to go through on the tech notes on Dezod's website. You can actually go in there and look, and I think the car has to be turned on maybe for 5 minutes and just let it idle. And then you have to hold it at 2500 RPMs, and then that's for 2 minutes, and then it'll be broke in because you have to break in the cat. If you just take it, put it on, and drive it right down the road, you could end up having a cat failure. But anyway, let me see if I can get a light right here, and I'll show you guys we'll use the drill as a flashlight. So as you can see right down there, I don't know how much that light's actually helping, but as you can see right down here is the bolts for the bottom. Now with these, the Dezod ones, they don't have the nuts like welded onto them, so you actually are going to have help right here. Somebody's going to have to push the bolt up from the bottom while somebody puts the nut and the washer on the top. And then on this, your springs are almost completely compressed. We put them to, when we took off my old ones, they were around 50, the torque specs were, and we put these back at like 45, I think. They were at a little bit different angle, so it was harder to get the torque wrench on them. But anyway, so there you can kind of see, you can't really see this side because it's darker, but both sides look just like this. And then this is what the finished product looks like. So it's kind of changed into like a gold almost, or like a bronze looking color. And then of course this was like the original color, was like that silver. But anyway guys, like I said, it's the next morning, so don't judge my hair. That's pretty much the header install. If you have any questions, just leave a comment down below and I can help explain them a little bit better for you. I know we kind of went through this a little bit quicker. It wasn't like more of my detailed DIY just because we're in a hurry. But like I said, just ask questions if you have any. DM me on Instagram if you have any questions, and I'll help you guys out the best I can. Alright guys, so I'm just going to give you a quick update on the car. So what has actually happened, I actually do not have the Dezod Green Header on my car currently. What ended up happening was it was installed properly. I drove down, you know, because I've been saying I had to go to football camp. I drove back down. We had some type of air leak or something come from somewhere, and as you guys know, I work at the Toyota dealership, so came back down here, let one of the head guys there look at it, and like I said before, he said we installed everything properly and really good actually. And he was looking at it and he's like, well, you have a leak up here. So we tried to tighten down the bolts, you know, like where the 4 pipes go into the engine at. We tried to tighten those down more because that's actually where it was leaking from, was right there. And then I actually ended up going and getting another gasket from AutoZone, like an aftermarket one, to see if that would help it. We put that on there and it was still leaking from up top. So I went ahead and I had that guy take the header off. And we actually took it was actually a ruler, a metal ruler, and he laid it on the top to see if it was planed out correctly, and it actually was not planed out flush or even close. There was a very large gap when he put that on there, and that little bit was not letting it seat. So we was having a massive air leak coming out, and it made the car sound really stupid. One thing I do want to say is that the Dezod Green Header while it was on the car, it actually made the exhaust and stuff sound way better. That's actually why I didn't show you guys a clip at the end, because there was so much leakage from the exhaust in the front that you couldn't really, you know, it would be dumb because it wouldn't be a real representation of, you know, the header. But it actually did sound really good from inside the car, and it felt like I had a little bit more throttle response with that header on there. But it ended up not working out good. So I contacted the owner of Dezod. His name is Chris. And we ended up not being able to, you know, we went back and forth a bunch. I'm trying not to, because if he sees this video, I don't want him to get triggered, and, you know, start making a bunch of comments and stuff. He basically was mad. I brought my dad into it because I was in football camp, and I actually had to leave my car at the Toyota dealership, and during football camp I have to go back and forth to the stadium like over and over and over throughout the day. It's crazy. So I was having to get rides from people, and it was just chaos for me during that time and during football camp, which is, you know, like one of my hardest times of the year. So I actually tried to let my dad handle the issue for me. I hope you guys have, you know, good friends in your life, or your dads can help you with problems, but I really didn't have time to mess with it or deal with him. So that's kind of why I passed it on to my dad. And plus the header, I had gave money to my dad, and we had actually bought it with his card because my card was messed up at the time or whatever. So it was actually in his name anyway. So that was another reason why I was trying to let him, you know, handle it or whatever. So anyway, they were talking back and forth, and I tried to he was going to pay for a machine shop here in Clarksville to fix it. But where the cat was on there, it was like a weird angle, and they didn't feel comfortable here doing that. So he offered if we sent it back to him that he would fix it. And as you know, the Dezod Green Headers are really expensive. So he was wanting us to pay shipping for there and back for a part that, you know, wasn't, you know, made properly to begin with, which I didn't want to do that. So we ended up shipping it back to him. He ended up, you know, offering to pay for the shipping. We sent it back to him, and then after all this mess, you know, it took like multiple emails, and he wouldn't contact us back, and it was just like a big mess basically. So we ended up just getting the money back from it, and I actually have my stock header back on there now. So needless to say, this install video will help you if you're putting on an aftermarket header on your car. It's specific to the Dezod Green header, but if you have another header, it's pretty much the same thing. I hope you guys, if you did get a Dezod Green header, that you have better luck. This was actually one of the last runs I believe he was doing, so I don't think he's actually making these anymore. But if you guys have got one that, you know, like secondhand or something, hopefully this will help you with your install. But anyway, guys, other than that, the product was made very well. It wasn't that it was made crappy or anything. I think it was just a mistake when he had it planed, or maybe he has another company plane them for him. I'm not exactly sure how he does it. You know, it just didn't get done right. And then, you know, after everything else and the time period that I was in and where I was in football camp and stuff, it just didn't end up working out. But anyway, so nothing on him or his company or anything. I wish their customer service was a little bit better. That would be the only thing I would say. But other than that, everything else was fine. But one thing this is actually going to allow us to do is I've decided that we're just going to go ahead and go turbo with it, so we won't even worry about a header anymore. So that'll be coming up soon. I'm still trying to figure out, you know, what company I'm wanting to go through to get that. It probably won't be Dezod, you know, unless, you know, something works out or whatever. But I'm thinking about P-tuning right now. So anyway, that'll be to come in the next couple of videos. But anyway, guys, on a high note, we're going to get a turbo kit, so that's pretty cool. That'll be coming, you know, hopefully sooner than later. So I hope this video helped you guys out with your install on your header. And make sure you subscribe to the channel, because that'll help me be able to afford this turbo kit that we're going to get and be able to keep making videos for you guys. But anyway, make sure you like the video, and if you have any comments on anything or want to know anything about the header or anything else with the install, like I said before, go ahead and, you know, DM me on my Instagram. It's in the, you know, description below. or anything, and I will be happy to help you guys out with that stuff. So anyway, guys, I'll see y'all later, and peace out.